Welcome back to Nosetools, where it is New Year's Eve, and I am trying to remember where we are, and mostly I can remember that we have a ghost that needs dealing with. And we were suffering from a slight there may have been some alcohol this afternoon. A slight prepared food shortage. Yes, we only have 29 prepared meals, which is unusual. And we also didn't get a dwarf caravan in the autumn, which we really ought to have. Which makes me worry that maybe our parent civilization has either died out or has decided they're not going to send us caravans anymore because they keep falling prey to the zombie rhinos. The wiki suggested to me that we might be able to work around this because any civilization that knows of our existence is likely to send us caravans. So we can reach out to other civilizations, and then once they know we exist, they might send us caravans, if they're peaceful. The problem is that the only ways we have to reach out to other civilizations is by sending military forces to, e.g., demand tribute. If we can find a small enough civilization, we might actually be able to just demand tribute from them. Otherwise, we have to send someone out to try to invade them, probably fail, and then then maybe they'll send, and then maybe they'll start sending us caravans out of sympathy or something. I mean, mostly I want the caravans so I can give them stuff to take away. Because it seems wrong well, indeed, it would upset a lot of dwarves if we just destroyed all of their nicely crafted crafts. So the Dwarf Fortress world has this problem of presumably an gradually increasing quantity of random craftspeople who have produced and are desperately selling to one another in order to get the frame rate in their own fortress up. Anyway, so there is a possibility that we could find... It was like at the moment we only know of our own civilization that's friendly. So, like, we know that that's part of the occult clam. And we are apparently at war with, in some sense, the occult clam. And, like, that's clearly... There's clearly quite a lot of stuff that relates to the occult clam. So if I can view details... Yes. Exports to Otamlòr, terror, offerings from Otamlòr, vengeance. We have no agreements. So we probably can't. Whereas if we look at them, they are our parent civilization and so have sent us stuff. And what's in this direction then? Ivory bolted, which I vaguely know about. That's part of the Stake of Echoes. So there's a question of why they haven't sent us... We have a request workers button, but like I don't want workers, I want trade caravans. There's a small lake. There's not very much civilization down there. What's that? Is that a tiny lake in the middle of a desert? Well, some hills anyway. Also inaccessible because it's on a different island. So there's a different elven civilization over there. But it's kind of quite a large civilization. And we are apparently at war with them, even though... So we presumably can't... I mean, we can apparently send raiders to... Yeah, but this they've got rather big forts. Also the solitary labours. So that's a different one again. Feel that all these are rather big. We have goblin hillocks. That's rather curious. But again, I want somewhere with a small population. Ooh, goblin port, a goblin fort. I mean, I don't think they can actually trade though, so goblins are not that useful. Let's do something a bit random then. Let us try to demand ongoing tribute from this random place. And send the tongs of competing with them. Actually, let's send the rounds of clasping as well. Let's be optimistic.
Was that tongs of competing?
Yes. And yes, we'll see if that does anything useful. Okay, so that's that going. The library is at least not so full of people that they're sitting on top of one another, so that's good.
Become a human swordsman. It suggests that they changed species.
No, I think it's merely that they have. Yes, they have switched to their military roles. So do we have still decent quantities of spare rooms? Looks like it. That's probably good. Oh yes, have we got all the doors installed in this floor yet? That was the thing we were doing. Yes, we have. We've sorted all that out. And those two floors are like, we'll try to avoid using these floors because they're a pain. So I should work out what's going on with that. Nothing weird happening there, no. That's presumably down in there being shot, yes, good. Someone is working on engraving a slab. Good. Here they come. Apparently a loose, naked mole dog neck.
Oh, I see. They all squeeze very, very, very quickly. Horse Hut is the oldest.
Thank you. So yes, there is apparently a naked mole dog neck here. I can't help feeling it's not going to... Okay, it's managed to bite people. Has it actually got a head as well as a neck? Because it seems to be doing a pretty effective job. Okay, it did... The brewer managed to tear the naked mole dog neck's head. So it clearly did have a head. Into pieces. But it looks from that... Oh right, that's now an object, is it? Yes, it's now an object. So it has indeed been killed again. Let's just dispose of that. And the other bits of naked mole dog littering the staircase. Generally going, this thing is worn, let's throw it away. So yes, the ghost here will be dealt with shortly. Just as soon as someone has finished engraving a suitable memorial. Is there a melt designated item that for some reason we can't reach? How am I going to find it? Probably can't be a bed because you can't make beds out of metal usually. Alright, it exists. Right, the problem is that the cage that's designated for melting is currently being hauled very slowly somewhere. What? The person who's meant to be demanding tribute is randomly carrying a cage around with them. Stop it.
I think you know, for a reason.
I didn't mean follow. Don't need to take the cage with you. Please. Leave the cage behind. Look, I have forbidden you to do anything with the cage. It apparently doesn't help. You're still carrying it.
What's the second best for one Christmas or something? But I can't remember why. What
Oh well, it'll stop being a problem once you've managed to get off the map. And that's presumably some random scholar leaving, taking a book with them as they are wont to do. I presume this means that I should actually work out how to stop. Problem is we have a bunch of, yes, stuff that's down in the caverns that we...
Most of which seem to be teeth.
much of which is teeth. Which we could, like, start harvesting. Yes. Oh yes, of course. We still have a forgotten beast in the caverns, don't we? I should remember that. Yes. I've sent all the military off to, well, most of the military off to, yes. Well, not Z level minus 100. I've sent them across the continent to demand tribute from someone who might be small enough that they might give us some. Not that I really want the tribute. I really want the Ziga Zigar, yes, or to put it another way, trade caravans that they might send once they know we exist.
So you're not actually demanding much tribute, only like fair trade.
Yeah, I want someone to take away some of my stuff.
I demand negative tribute.
Yes, I demand better frame rate. Someone has been carefully storing all of the teeth in different stockpile tiles. We don't seem to have anyone currently willing to butcher things. Let's assign some more people to butchery then. It's quite important that we actually always have butchers available. Gaten Godin is taking her time to die.
She's got a full son now.
Yes.
Is she by the sea?
Don't think so.
Refuse stockpile 10.
That is not what it means. We've probably got that first memorial available, haven't we? Cuddle Guzil Noxan. Someone new. We already have a slab for you, so I think that's the one we're already installing. We just need.
I've got that written on the gravestone just in case.
I think they probably have. If they have gravestones. Yeah, I think we have a general problem that items. The problem with someone going off to war carrying a cage is that it takes them quite a long time to leave the map because the cage is rather heavy. Yes, I think a lot of our job cancellations are now items that are not accessible because they are in inconvenient parts of the caverns. So possibly we could usefully really that's not actually worth trying to keep. Bows are probably not much worth trying to keep either. Plus that'll stop the whinging about need melt designated item because there is one now. Yes, well that might be quite useful. Wombat parchment. I mean, I kind of feel that we might not have much use for a barrel of honeybee venom. However impressive it was that someone managed to collect it. I don't think you can do anything with it. It's just a thing. It's a substance that exists in the game so that honeybees can inject it into people. And therefore, traders will turn up with it in barrels because it's a substance that exists. Even though there is no way to actually to put the stuff into a barrel in-game. Yes. It is possible. It is possible to make poisoned weapons. The wiki has a. No, I haven't got any. What I've got. Claire asks, have I got any traders? No, we haven't got traders. This is merely a pile of stuff that some traders who sadly succumbed to the zombie rhinoceroses have left behind.
That's not bad. I mean, you get all the stuff and don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, it does tend to piss off the civilization they came from, which is why they're not coming back.
Yes.
I think. Honey does exist, and I'm not sure if you can eat it, but you can certainly turn it into mead. But the faff of setting up beehives and getting a swarm of bees into them in order to make mead, which is just another kind of booze, and you can make 15 different kinds of booze out of fruit, is like too much faff.
Yeah. Yes, but I mean, I can see the logic there because I mean, I really like these and I haven't actually felt the need to attempt to buy any in years. Because it's a fact.
Grasshopper. Wandering around, seeing what interesting things there are.
A human for everyone.
Well, I think it's a book about. Hang on, we can find out.
Sorts Charles the Bold under B, not C. Such the rule.
Yes.
So yes, it's actually a scroll about. It's actually a scroll about one particular human. Realgar. It's a kind of stone. Yes, yes. This is some human fish cleaner who feels that their life is important enough to be written on a scroll, with amateurish prose and writing that occasionally changes topic abruptly and gets off track from time to time. Yes. Well, maybe we can reuse the parchment for something else. Actually, I don't think you can reuse parchments in Dwarf Fortress, so we're stuck with it having a fish cleaner's autobiography on it. Has someone actually got a use for that glove? Well, I feel that worn bismuth bronze boots probably want melting down and recasting into unworn bismuth bronze boots. Yes, let's make crowns out of goblins' nails. I'm sure that will be fine. Who makes musical instruments out of steel? Let's melt that down, because we can probably use the steel for something better. Dispose of the worn silk socks. Melt down the bronze helm. Probably melt that steel gauntlet as well. Can't sensibly make a musical instrument out of rock salt.
Call it a clunk.
Found a spare corpse. Anyway.
This is the cover to Dire Straits by the Banana Garden. That's the steel guitar. Show that. You can make instruments out of steel.
Yes, but there are better things to use steel for.
Yeah.
And what I said you couldn't do was make them out of rock salt.
Now you said who makes instruments out of steel?
Oh, yes.
They do.
Yes, they do.
I'll make that of rock salt, and you asked who makes it out of steel.
Yes. You didn't, technically speaking, answer the question. You answered who plays instruments made out of steel.
It's not even that. Who makes a thing that looks like an instrument made out of steel in order to take a photo of it for an album cover? There's no guarantee they actually played it.
Oh, I'm willing to believe that. But, like, the thing is that steel has so many better uses.
However you can get happy children's musical shakers which are filled with rock salt.
Yes, I suppose that's perfectly reasonable, albeit that this probably isn't that kind of thing. But, like, I'm not going all the way back up to there to find out what it actually was.
I'm sure you could make something like an ocarina.
Yes. As Ian says, as long as you're somewhere dry enough, it'll be fine. which, to be fair, we are here in Nosetools. There's a few items kind of tidied up so that they can be melted down or destroyed in magma as appropriate. In most cases, they just vanish. As far as I can see, they vanish. Usually, if you set fire to things, they burn for a bit. We dump things. If you combine magma and objects, the objects burn for a bit, produce a lot of smoke, and then eventually disappear. And sometimes they will actually melt into a puddle of whatever material they're made of. It seems that if you dump items into magma, though, they tend to just vanish the moment they touch the magma, rather than going through a complicatedly simulated thermodynamic process. Yes, I think there's a certain amount of optimization here. Anyway, we should... Oh, lots of rubbish there that can be safely dumped. As far as I can see, we have so many clothes because of people coming in and dying on our doorstep that there really isn't any need to keep even slightly worn clothes available. They sometimes do, that's why some of them are marked as worn, but I'm destroying them. But the thing is, most people don't need to have many holes made in them before they die. So, some of their clothes will be fine. And thus, on balance, they will have left behind something useful.
Yes, I see. The t-shirt from the person who got gored in the leg.
Yes.
The trouser from the person who got gored in the torso.
And clothes last quite well, so... Also we should dispose of these things that are full of Forgotten Beast extract. No one seems to be suffering much from Forgotten Beast sickness at the moment, so possibly that creature doesn't have very sick things, but... doesn't have very sick-making extract. Oh, and there's another unhappy dwarf. I should check what... Are they the one who still can't pray to Zalis? Yes. Maybe I should just set up a temple to Zalis to be on the safe side. So there doesn't seem to be a way to get me to their location. So Thob Beckles and Egg Adagogok Ast. Yes. that's that room. Maybe I should, like, as a thing, make it prettier for them by engraving the floor. And if I it's probably a terrible idea, but what happens if I turn their bedroom into a temple? Temporarily. Presume I can only select one. Let's try turning their bedroom into a temple to Zalis and just see whether that helps. Right, that ghost is now put to rest. Excellent. And we have yet another visiting bardoid.
So other civilizations are still sending bards, just not useful supplies.
I think other bards are turning up. They're not really sent by their civilizations, as far as I know.
But it must have come from a civilization.
Yes, indeed.
Which suggests someone around there is still even.
Indeed, possibly once our incoming bard has talked to someone, we can find out where they've come from. So various people are hauling interesting items into the fortress, or rather uninteresting items. We are watching this bard as they descend the stairs. Maybe I should widen that staircase a bit, actually. At least the upper levels of it. Where is this bard going? Kind of losing track of where they are. I think they've ended up in the Oh, they have come to pray at the Church of Avalanches, and they are seeking work as a performer. They've heard that she's heard the Creative Pumpkin is the place to look for long-term work. We still don't know where she's come from, though.
Unfortunately, she turns up and goes, "Get out, you're a bard."
Thank you. So yes, I could construct more staircases, at least through the levels where it's easy to construct more staircases. Yes. Let us widen. That staircase. out to 2 by 2, at least where I reasonably can. Slightly awkward doing that through the aquifer layers. Though we do have a drain, so like we could dump some water down the drain in order to clear out the aquifer layers. I assume that constructing an up-down staircase includes punching a hole in the floor as necessary. I don't think it's worth widening it all the way. I suppose actually we could just widen it all the way down there, because this is not the staircase that connects to the caverns anyway. I can do this slight. No, I can't. So I'm going to run out of limestone blocks before I run out of places to put the staircases. Make more rock blocks, people. Okay, we are indeed trying to make more blocks. What's that random cruft lying around? Is that more slightly worn clothing? Yes. I think I spotted some slightly worn clothing in the dining room as well. Lots of slightly worn clothing in the dining room. In some cases, very worn clothing. What? But I'm sure none of this is actually worth keeping. Yes, I have not marked the stray kitten for dumping. You can't. I can mark the stray kitten for slaughter, but like, there's not much eating on a kitten. Yes, I think that's presumably some kind of demon or similar. Like, once you've killed it, you may as well tan its skin, make clothes out of it. Don't leave clothes blocking doorways. Thank you. Yes, they can do that, but yeah, that doesn't need dumping. That one's actually in reasonable condition. Yes, people are just abandoning clothes in the dining room. Creative Pumpkin is full of abandoned clothes.
Giant marble leather.
Yeah, that's a large item of clothing made out of giant narwhal leather. Is there a way I can make a stockpile for worn clothes, I wonder? Because that would certainly make this easier. I mean, this is certainly going to give the dwarves some work to do, getting all this lot up to the dump. Don't leave your dead clothes blocking doorways.
Mrs. Worthington.
Yes. Right, well, that might improve matters a bit.
Also, I'm scared if what was a still zombie infested, you have to qualify the clothes as dead.
Well, I mean worn out, but... The staircase widening process is underway. There's a random corpse in the graveyard, and I appreciate that kind of might be what you expect it to be there for, but it's not actually good. It indicates that someone is not being properly buried. Right, people are coming up here and hurling bits of clothing into the magma pit, which is nice, and leaving their clothes right on the edge of the magma pit, which is excellent. That lot can all go down the pit. Oh, the frame rate's a bit better than it was. That's nice. It goes up if I'm paused, because then there's no actual calculations to do. Yes. Because it's the sums of working out what all these dwarves are up to that's expensive. And we have nice wide doorways all over the place now, and the widened staircases are mostly getting set up. We can probably safely widen the staircase on this level without, like, flooding everything. Doing it on the next level down is a bit trickier because it's already flooded. I suppose there are an awful lot of things marked for dumping now, so it will take a little while for all of them to get hauled up here. And now I'm blocking the stairs with 3 people dismantling walls so that we can widen the staircase. Well, not fully, but like they will slow down people passing through. So, like, if I try to create a stockpile of clothes, what settings do I get for clothes? Whereby clothes are obviously classified as armour. So I can ask for usable or unusable and materials and like which parts of kinds of clothing they are, but not for whether they're worn or not. Okay, that's not very helpful. But I have a feeling that actually old clothes are a bit of an FPS drain, because dwarves spend a lot of their time thinking about whether any of the items of clothing whose existence they know of might be a good replacement for what they're wearing. So the more clothes you can get destroyed, better. So now we can cut that away. And start installing some extra stairs. That will mean we have stairs. We have a wide staircase through almost all of the height of the fortress now, Except for this level, where we have the entertaining feature that if we want to widen the staircase, we need to let all this water through, which is going to be exciting, though should be safe. We do have a drainage system now. But maybe I should not do that while everyone's running up and down the stairs dumping things. And the water should pour down to this level, run down the grate, down through this hole, up the other hole, and out into the caverns. And I'm sure that will work fine and not go wrong in any catastrophic way. I'm out of blocks again, aren't I? Yes. Gratuitously we make some clay bricks because we can. So there will now be a small amount of water coming down the stairs, but that should be safe. Right, there should be so little it won't actually cause any trouble. No. Indeed, water can fall straight through stairs without having any effect on the stairs themselves for the most part.
I'm pretty sure I remember in the office people took water falling down stairs as a serious hazard. Warn everybody and say use a lift if you can. Just away from doing until you figure it out.
Still working on disposing of all the spare clothes. Not spare clothes, the worn out clothes. We have a prophet here. Come to pray at the at this church that I set up. I didn't set it up for your benefit. I mean, I'll let you stay, but well, yeah, don't think so. No. I set that up because the person whose bedroom it's in is like a bit prone to desperately wanting to pray to Zalis, so I thought I'd make it easy for them. So that's some random vermin, yes. People leaving food rotting in their bedrooms again. Aha, we have a report from our demand for demand tribute, and it has no text. Oh right, we can see them going off across the mountains. Yes. Secured tribute to be delivered from Air Wondered every summer. I think they went over there and brandished their well-made dwarven weapons, and the like 15 people in this tiny hamlet on the other side of 2 ranges of mountains said, "Oh, okay, that's nice." So my hope is that this will also bring us some trade. Got any blocks yet? Right. really know.
You can bet they're going to contribute in the boots in the kind of literal way of sending you stuff rather than taking their stuff away.
That's okay. We can have some of their stuff and give them lots of ours, and they will be very happy.
Until one member after another of their small fortress stops coming back to use on the riders.
Well, yes, that might be a problem. Is anyone actually going to work there? Yes, they are. Where exactly are you going? You found some clay out in the middle of the... Where? There's a clay pit right next to the kiln. But no, for some reason you decide that the clay that you want is way out on the surface. Okay. What? Is that a band of immigrants? Or is that the... Well, this is a new arrival. I think you may actually be our... Given that you've got like a lot of... Yes, you are actually not a new arrival, you're the returning... squad who went out to secure tribute. Well, we've probably got more cabinets to install, haven't we? That floor is entirely full of cabinets. That floor is entirely full. No, it's not quite. Cabinets. That floor is entirely empty of cabinets. That floor is almost full of cabinets. That's the stairwell. You don't need to install cabinets in the stairwell. The dining room is not overcrowded at the moment, that's quite nice. Still a bit worried about the prepared meals situation. 51, yeah, our prepared meal stock is going up. That's good then. I think we've managed to get cooking actually happening again. At a useful rate. Which is nice. suppose I shouldn't worry too much. No, I should worry too much that there's no one operating the catapult. That means that all of my potential... Oh no, there is someone operating the catapult. They're probably just hauling stone from somewhere stupid. No, not yet.
Well, currently she's not with that help, they're all practicing.
Yeah, the catapult is there for practice. Because catapults are filled with stone rather than ballista bolts, so it doesn't do any harm if you operate one, and we can keep as many as we want, though we only have one supplied. And skills are apparently entirely transferable between catapult and ballista. Oh, we're actually being slightly limited here by only having one mason's workshop. Which is rate limiting our ability to make several things. Maybe I should just also get the glassmaker's workshop making blocks. 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 Or you can make green glass blocks. There they are, yes.
Good night.
It does kind of look like having a dedicated temple is encouraging people to pray to Zalis, though I'm not yet confident that the correct people are doing this. Surely a craft. suppose if we had a clothing stockpile, it would be easier to find items of clothing, even if they were all mixed in together. Has anyone made any blocks yet? Someone at least is actively working on it. The elf hauling the clay to the kiln is almost at the kiln. Problem is you only get one batch of blocks at a time out of glass. We have food stockpiles which should get loose food put in them, but I think owned items don't get stockpiled. And so food that people have decided to take with them, they store, then try, in particular military dwarves will give themselves food to take on manoeuvres and such like, and will then leave that food in their own bedrooms, where it then goes rotten because you can't store food in your bedroom. Oh, here's our person who was complaining about being unable to pray to Zalis. Damn it, you have no job. How about you go and pray to Zalis? You're stressed because you haven't been able to pray to Zalis recently. Oh, you're wandering around the workshops. Go, pray to Zalis. I mean, I'm not actually going to object to your going off and collecting some stone. It's in her or his, I can't remember which, bedroom. It's in his bedroom. The temple is literally his bedroom. I'm hoping that this will thus make it really, really easy when he needs to sleep. Maybe I can chain the poor dwarf in place. Right, that's one bit of wall constructed up here, slowly reducing the amount of water leakage. Because even if I can't build clay bricks and everyone's too busy to make me stone blocks, I can damn well make the things out of glass. Because my glass makers are useful. I mean, it looks like the potter has finally made it back. And then once we've walled off this layer, then I'll widen the staircase on this layer, which will involve dumping a vast quantity of, well, a moderate quantity of water down the stairs and hoping the drainage system works correctly. I'm fairly confident. That's the plan, yes. The tribute should arrive by caravan next summer. So next summer we should get a human caravan with some stuff, who knows what, and it will probably be accompanied by a trade caravan. Or at least there will be a trade caravan at about the same time. And so they get to be killed, or apparently not, by the rhinos, because they don't seem to be coming back at the moment, which is nice. Maybe we've finally managed to capture or kill enough of them. Yes, the aim is to try to get people not to be killed by the rhinos. That will make us happy. Ah, we finally managed to make some limestone blocks. So let's get this layer walled in, and then we'll let all the water down the stairs and see what happens. That's fine, that's a hungry head way down in the bottom of the caverns. Right, so now that layer of the stairs has been re-walled off in a mixture of limestone and green glass. And blood. So now we can be brave. Actually, if we remove... Can we remove that square, I wonder? Because then that will probably let the water out fairly slowly, rather than in an enormous flood. Yes, we can. I mean, it will probably still pour out fairly quickly. So we may end up with a big pile of bruised dwarves at the bottom of the staircase. Okay, Olo Hearthequal has joined us as a citizen. They are a human poet. Their only ability is milking, which is not very helpful. I don't know. I have no idea what jobs I need doing here. Become a mason. So I think someone is currently removing that construction. Yes, there. East is scheduled to remove the construction once they can haul themselves up the stairs. Or are they actually doing it from the floor below? I think they may be doing it from below, amusingly. I'm slightly upset by the sheer quantity of blood on these stairs, but I'm sure a dwarf will be along to clean them soon. I'm watching here to see what happens when this wall is removed and all the water floods out. Right. So yes, it's not coming out terrifyingly fast. There is quite a lot of water plummeting down the staircase now. Let's watch what happens at the bottom of the staircase. Yes, so quite a lot of water has come down the stairs, is bringing all sorts of things with it. But like, it's only 2/7 deep, it's not going to hurt anyone. And like, I bet we've got a lot of happy dwarves now who are going, waterfall! She is relieved being near a waterfall. Dwarves like waterfalls. Even when they're waterfalls caused by someone punching a hole in the wall of the main staircase and dumping gallons of water down it. And here, notice how our hydraulic engineering is working correctly. The water is pouring out into the caverns, where it will probably be mostly harmless. I could try building a waterfall, so if I'm going to do that, I think I may need to engage in some fairly serious power engineering, though. Now this is draining reasonably well. Let us also mark the nearby walls for removal so that we can start building staircases in their place. Even an elf likes waterfalls. Right, the water is still a bit too deep to construct walls across it, but that shouldn't take too long to fix. As it pours down the stairs, causes very slight flooding on this floor. And spills harmlessly out into the gallery, into the caverns. We are discussing dictionaries in the library today. Diziot asks, are happier dwarves more useful, or are they just less prone to going mad? I think they may work slightly faster, in general. But I think mostly they're just less prone to going mad and wrecking everything, or killing themselves. There is a layer of water over the floor in this entire room, but it's only 1/7 deep, so it will dry out given time. If we could start using the next floor down, like if we were feeling really enthusiastic about our engineering, we could build an extra room out in the open space of the cavern down there, and then cover this entire floor in floor grates, which would let the water drain rather more easily. But like you can see here, it's beginning to dry up now. It'll always be a bit muddy. Other than that, it's working fine. What's that? Is that a random kitten corpse? And is anyone going to butcher it? Doesn't look like it. No. Just dispose of the kitten. I wonder how the kitten died. Our local forgotten beast does seem to be quite insistent on staying down there in the caverns and not like wandering off elsewhere, which is a pity. Discussing shadow clocks, by which I think they mean sundials, rather than some kind of clocks that we do not speak of. Not quite New Year's Day in my fortress yet. Only the 23rd of April. Yes, not until Obsidian. Obsidian is actually the last month of the Dwarven year. So the staircase reconstruction is complete. We've almost completed the completed project. Give everyone in the fortress a cabinet. Well, you're praying to someone at least. And yes, to everyone whose time zone is the same as mine, Happy New Year. Well, you got it at some other hour. You can find people in your own time zone to wish you a Happy New Year. The temple's probably full of dead clothes as well, isn't it? Let's fix that. not nearly as full of dead clothes as the dining room was. Yes, we have things going bang here as well. Why is this room of the temple completely empty of people? Okay. Also, stop leaving socks in the doors. I think I should set up a room that's just an enormous store of clothes, so that then I can dispose of the useless ones more quickly. Another bit of clothing blocking the doorway. Right. What's the point in making your fortress full of doors that you can use to isolate bits of it if then someone goes and dumps socks in all of them? Are you playing a variant of the cornflakes game?
Because Jake Boger's calendar and told what it was. And that would be a spoiler for you in the morning, and therefore you quickly scroll it off the screen by saying Stoke 24.
However,
Did you see it?
yes.
Oh. You do your eye dots, and therefore, look, quickly.
It's not. It turns out.
So now a bunch more clothes get hauled up here. So, yes, what I could do is extend this room southwards to there, and then make that a stockpile of clothes. Probably of like non-armour type clothes. Maybe we should have a second stockpile for armour and like metal armour. And I suppose technically leather armour as well, if you want to think that's armour. Ah. You can't attach doors to roots, so...
Just wonder what's the
Well, actually, I think it may only be that you can't attach a door if it has roots on both sides, so I may not need to dig all the roots out. Okay, we can totally install doors there. Well, let's in that case stop digging out those roots because I don't think we need to. Now let us assign this as an armour stockpile. With settings to ban anything that's actually armour. Aren't leggings a kind of armour in this game? Right, if we also forbid all kinds of shield of metal, then that will tend to stop armour being deposited there. And then make this one an armour stockpile for like what we actually think of as armour. But if I get it right, it will be everything that we didn't put in the other one. The current plan is not to actually make a purely sock stockpile, but so now clothes that don't get dumped will get filed in these stockpiles, and I can then look through them at my leisure and dump them in such a way that it won't involve quite so many people running up and down the stairs. Someone has stored an item in the stockpile. Is it an item that belongs in that stockpile? Bismuth bronze cap. Excellent. Probably don't have any spare bins, do I? I need to make more bins. Yes, we don't have a noticeable number of empty bins. While we have access to the surface, which we still do. We now have a phenomenal number of store item and stockpile jobs, yes. There's already been excuse me, assigned to stockpile 51, which is nice. Looks like. Possibly because it was already a bin full of clothes. No, it wasn't. So now people can start filling that bin with clothes. People are thus working out that that these stockpiles are going to fill up pretty quickly and they're going to need bins. So now we're starting to get store item and bin jobs spawned. Just have a quick glance around and make sure all those are reasonable objects to have. Okay. More or less what we were hoping for. A large ginkgo wood helm worn. No, that's not very helpful. Let's trash that. Everything else here is worth keeping though. How are we doing for... we have 1,448 gloves in this place. It's a bit silly. Prepared meals, that's what I'm looking for, yes. So only 30 in stock. It's kind of... maybe we need a second kitchen. Someone seems to be running round and round in circles with an item of clothing. They found some way to put it. Good. That bin is currently empty. Presumably someone is going to turn up with an enormous pile of stuff in due course and stick it in that bin. Is this the person in question? No, this is someone finding some equipment, having decided that now we have a nice clothing stockpile, they might want to fetch things from it. Why is that not a double door? That should be a double door. You just dropped something so as to block that doorway. Oh no. It's just someone coming through with some clothes. Right, so you've picked up an enormous pile of stuff and are bringing it in to stick in the clothing stockpile. I suppose so. Kogan Cobra Labours wishes to join us. just be a hauler. I'm on the wrong page. No, I'll make you all kinds of farmer. There are store item and bin jobs. You are presumably still collecting items to store in the bin. Having picked up a fairly large quantity of armour and thus moving around very slowly. I'm nonetheless going to keep walking around finding more armour to put in the bin. So we don't seem to have any things being stored in this stockpile. It's kind of weird. I mean, we've banned metals, but we can still take things made of all other materials. We're allowing usable and other and unusable things, and quite a lot of different kinds of stuff. Is it something bizarre, like it turns out that they're technically finished goods? Maybe it does. Maybe I want to go legwear, handwear, headwear, footwear and armour in there. Yeah, that seems to have done something. Please melt down the nickel cage. We don't want cages made of metal, they're too heavy. Have we got any spare rooms? The Creative Pumpkins rooms are apparently all taken. Let's check if I agree with that. Certainly looks like it. So I think I should say, no, you may not reside here for purposes of entertaining people, because we already have enough entertainers, thank you. Right now the citizens are also hauling items up into the clothes store. Some of them are worn. Which is the whole point of doing this, is to get these to somewhere where I can see them. And then I can go, actually that item is not of any value at all. Certainly an argument that small clothes, which I think are only fit for kobolds, are probably not useful to us, are they? I mean, we have human citizens, so we want to keep large clothes. What? Okay, we're actually out of meat now. And fairly low on prepared meals. Slaughter some pigs! It is pig slaughtering time. We should do this fairly slowly for safety's sake, but... Actually, let's also slaughter any other animals that have been around forever. Give us some variety of food. So I do need to be a bit careful. About what I slaughter, because I don't want to slaughter the animals that are, of course, being used as bait, because then I'll need to rebait the traps. Let's go a page down or so. Right, that should be enough for now. most of the loose clothing in the fortress that people are picking up do appear to be worn. So I'm trashing quite a lot of stuff there. Which is good. It's why I built this stockpile, was so that I could get all this cruft in one place. Right, so that should improve our meat situation at least a little bit. Wow, Drowthers come with a lot of meat. Now people are all hauling off the bits of cow and Drowther. We've got quite a few Drowthers to slaughter because we tamed a bunch of them ages ago when they turned up in traps. Still not sure it's quite worth the hassle of taming animals. Oops. Well, yes, we are going to occasionally throw things away that people wanted kept. Just adjust this so it officially just takes all armour, because I don't think it matters. Partly to see what ends up in there. Lots of lovely stuff getting thrown away here. it is utterly critical, I just remember that I should make sure that there is no refuse permitted in either of these. Because if you have refuse and clothes allowed in the same stockpile, then the clothes rot much faster than usual. Which is obviously not what we want. Because these are being used to store new clothes. Possibly, actually, if you mark... I wonder now if a refuse stockpile marked as able to accept clothes just gets worn clothes. Might be worth trying. But, like, it's probably sensible to have a clothes stockpile in the fortress anyway. There are a couple of people who are nominally filling up those two bins at the top left corner of the two stockpiles, and once those have filled, we'll have a lot more stuff in the stockpiles, and then presumably someone will bring along another bin. That's nice. So we now have a half decent quantity of food there that can be converted into prepared meals. Ban the cow tallow from being cooked, so we can make cow soap. Soap made from cow fat. Perfectly sensible substance. Yeah, she keeps slipping into and out of depression. think I'm just waiting for this stockpile to fill, and then I will have another pass of marking half of it for dumping. So I only have 22 prepared meals. Has the job got cancelled somehow? I suppose there's a bunch of render fat jobs being scheduled because we can. I suspect some poor dwarf is trying to pick up enough stuff to completely fill this bin, which is why it's still got the job scheduled for it despite being empty. Or rather, why it is still empty and has a job scheduled. No, I think we're still full. Yep. Oh, but did someone just dump something in that bin then? Right, so that bin is now full of stuff. We don't want to dump the whole bin unless perhaps everything in it is eligible for dumping. Which it isn't quite. Maybe a bit slow. Snooze. Like, there was one item in that bin that was worth keeping. Someone is lugging a pig corpse around. Presumably that pig has died by other means than actually being slaughtered. All thus need butchering. Now everyone is coming up to empty that pig, that bin. Maybe I should just have gone for dumping the bin and accepted the loss of the one item in it that was worth keeping, plus the bin. Well, that's a small item of clothing. Small items of clothing are not worth keeping either. Just having a quick glance around to make sure we haven't accidentally slaughtered any of the wrong pigs. Yeah, those ones are all still in place. Good. So now we have a second bin, which is currently empty. That one, oh, it was small. I was stoked. Let's dump that as well. And look out for new kinds of tallow. We don't seem to have pig tallow in the list yet. Right, the prepared meal stock is beginning to re-establish itself, which is nice. Surely a sow head we can actually put into the skull. One might hope. Alright, you're fetching a phenomenal quantity of metal armour, which is why you are tired and thirsty. And thus having difficulty with your routing. So another pass through the contents of this room then. That bin is now empty. That bin is as yet empty. That lot can still be disposed of. What are you just abandoning that square? Some clothes and a battle axe. Well, I'm sure you'll be back for it eventually. I guess the spare sow head is indeed being butchered separately. Right, well... Is the butcher's shop idle now? Yes. And we we have 179 meat, 140 prepared meals, largely because we've got a stack of 115 Draltha meat roasts made entirely out of Draltha meat. They are between them phenomenally valuable, and will probably keep the fort going for quite some time, though everyone will get rather bored of Draltha meat. Although we do appear to have this masterfully improved pigtail shoe, which possibly we shouldn't be allowing anyone to improve. Right, stop improving worn clothes. Yes, this is going to annoy people a bit, but only a bit. I'd like to get someone to fill some more bins for me, but presuming there are like a couple of people on the surface running around all over the place collecting clothes. Yes. Oh, yes. We built all of those cabinets yet? That's that floor fully equipped. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 more cabinets. Looks like we have no more jobs to make cabinets scheduled, so let's just ask for some more green glass cabinets. Eventually everything in this stockpile, in the actual stockpile, will be undamaged and of a size that someone in the fortress can wear, and then I can stop dumping them. Then we just have to wait for the bins to fill up. Are you actually going to store that phenomenal quantity of items you've been carrying around in the bin? Note the incredible slowness of this hauler, because they're carrying far more than is a reasonable amount. They are very tired and very thirsty, because they haven't actually thought to stop collecting things, stuff some things in the bin, and go and get some dinner. Because, well, dwarves, really. Right, all the items have been tipped into the bin, and the brewery's off for a drink. Trying to work out where there is some booze. Grab the mug. He's found some booze. And he's going to feel a lot better afterwards. Oops. That wasn't actually the key I meant. Anyway. So now, this should be full of plausibly useful stuff. Melt anything that's warm. Right, M at least does seem to do the right thing and mark for melting the thing I've got selected. Possibly on the grounds that you can't melt a wooden bin. That lot can all just be stored there. That lot is not a pile of rubbish. Unlike most of our ordinary clothes, which are a bit terrible. So now everything in this bin is marked for dumping because it is all warm, but the bin itself is not marked for dumping. You're doing reasonably well for food now, which is nice. See, a bit low on drink. Well, that can be the job for next session. Work out whether our drink situation is actually dangerous and do something about it if it is. You managed to pray to Alice yet? No. What do you do with your time? You have to just watch you for a few weeks. So many items to be thrown away. Right, I think it is probably time for me to... Oh dear, there go a few masterfully improved objects. It is probably time to stop for the night, and we'll come back probably on Sunday. I am lightly considering when to retire this fortress, because I'm kind of running out of ideas. Of course, if people provide more ideas, but not right now. We have clothes to organise, And, like, maybe we can start getting trade caravans again. Plus, we have a booze problem at the moment, so we'll see. Anyway, I shall stop now. Pause. Yes. Dizziot would like fountains. Okay, well, maybe we can sort out some fountains then. Arrange a waterfall in every bedroom. That would be an entertaining engineering feat. Would require diverting most of the river, I think. Anyway, yes, and then we'll get the then we'll get the zombie rhinoceroses turning up just when we think we've got rid of them. Right. Anyway, I shall stop now, and we will come back to this on Sunday. So, good night all.